Craig, thank you for joining us again. We had already done the one interview, which will run, but I felt like we had to speak again after the attempt on your life. And I wanted to, just come back and talk just about a couple of things briefly. First question I want to ask is, how are you doing and how's your family doing?
Thank you very much, Rachel. We're hanging in there. My focus since the shooting last week has really been on the physical and mental health and safety of my team and my family. And now 7 days later, people are moving on. We're very impacted. Everyone is, both everyone that was in the room, my entire team, all of their families. But we are all looking towards the future. And all taking care of ourselves in many different ways, both physically and mentally. I think this experience will change every one of us that has been involved in this for the rest of our lives, regardless of what happens with the election. This will be a defining, changing moment for all of us, a very impactful experience, but we're moving forward.
Moving forward, I wondered when you had that discussion with your family, you have two children and your wife, and did it ever come up, is this race worth it? Was there ever a discussion, do we stay in it?
My whole family is behind me 100%. And so that did not come up. They're all committed. My sons, my wife are all super, super supportive of me being the next mayor of Louisville, and they working with me to be part of the solution to end gun violence, to bring the community together, to implement all of the solutions that I've been talking about for a very long time now, predating this attempt on my life, to really bring the city together and end gun violence and make Louisville a safer, stronger, and healthier city. I couldn't be more fortunate than to have not just a great campaign team and eventually a strong administration, but also three amazing immediate family members that are right by my side and want to be part of the solution also.
One quick question, and I know this is a tough one. The suspect in the case was Quintez Brown. You said you didn't know him. He's since been bailed out of jail. You have said the system is broken. If you could have seen this play out in the best way that you think would be possible, what would it have been?
Well, I don't think there is any good way, and I prefer right now not to get involved on things related to Mr. Brown or anything regarding the case. But I think it is reflective of a criminal justice system that is clearly broken. It's nearly impossible to believe that someone can attempt murder on Monday and walk out of jail on Wednesday. That is difficult to believe. At the same time, if Mr. Brown or anyone else, if there's an individual who is in custody, who is in need of mental health treatment, I'm a strong believer that that treatment must be provided, but in custody. And so some of the things that I've tried to focus on in bringing the city together around ending gun violence and other violent crimes in our system, first includes mental health. I'm a strong supporter that the city should be a leader in working with the private and nonprofit and public sectors to ensure that people get the mental health treatment that they need, ideally before they commit a violent crime. But if that happens, then we as a community need to provide those mental health treatment resources to folks that are in custody in jail. We also need to support our police department and have a fully funded and fully staffed police department that is the best trained, trusted, and transparent police department in America that focus on community policing and preventing crime. And that will be a big focus of mine. There are group violence intervention programs that have been extremely effective in other cities at significantly reducing violent crime. And so we've started that here in Louisville. As mayor, I will really make that a priority to give it the resources and priority it needs to reduce violent crimes in our community. And when we think about long-term solutions as well, we as a community really need to invest in the root causes of crime and the root causes of poverty. And I think we have an opportunity here in Louisville to do that. We have an opportunity for people to come together from across the whole city to rally around this common goal of making Louisville a safer city and reducing violence. There will be no bigger advocate. There will be no one who is more firmly committed to this every day than me as I move forward, not just as a candidate, but hopefully as the next mayor of Louisville.
Let me ask you two other quick questions. The last interview that we did that we're going to run after this, you started it by saying about repair the world. And I just wonder if that took on a different meaning after what happened. Just, I mean, when you started, that was such a powerful statement. Does that take on new meaning at all now?
It absolutely does. I mean, that and also just faith in general takes on a new meaning to me. I have no other explanation for why I'm still here. And so thinking about, I think you're referring back to Tikkun Olam, which means repair the world, and was a concept that really has guided me in my life and guided me towards running for mayor and hopefully being the next mayor of Louisville. That does take on new meaning, as does other parts of my faith, which has so much in common with other people of faith throughout the city, or even not, just common tenets of doing good by one another, working together towards a common good, and that we are all here for a reason, and let's make the most of that. And so that is definitely guiding me as I move forward, and has been something that I've thought a lot about and reflected on a lot over the past week, and has been a powerful force for keeping me moving forward, and my entire family.
My final question, you said it changed you in profound ways. My guess is you don't know exactly how just yet. Is there anything that comes to mind, or is that something that you think is just going to be one of those things that you process and it will present itself later?
I think that is correct. I think that will become more apparent over time. The one thing, a couple things that I have also been reflecting though on in this past week is, first of all, I know I'm extremely blessed. I'm fortunate that I am still here. Nearly 200 people in Louisville last year were killed by gun violence. Hundreds more were injured. I'm fortunate that I was not physically injured by gun violence, but I do have a new experience that I think those feelings and that experience will inform my actions as I move forward, as mayor. It will also, I think I can relate to the families, to neighborhoods, to neighbors, to other people across the city who have been impacted by gun violence in a new way. And it's no longer an academic discussion for me. It's not just a political issue. It's not a policy statement. I feel what this means. This is life and death for far too many people in Louisville. And the trauma that people who experience gun violence face, and their loved ones, their friends, their neighbors, it's far too big of a burden. And so we as a community must come together to end gun violence throughout this entire city. And that feeling of knowing what it feels like to be shot at will be a feeling that I never forget, and will continue to make this the number one priority for me as a candidate for mayor, and hopefully as the next mayor of Louisville, who brings together the community from across the community, regardless of your race, gender, life experiences, geography, regardless of anything about anyone. We are all people who have loved ones in our life and who want to be safe, who want our families to be safe. And so let's work together to implement these proven solutions to make Louisville a safer, stronger, and healthier city.
Thank you so much for agreeing to come back and do this with us.
Thank you very much, Rachel.